Greetings. I've been traveling a lot, so I have not had time to record any of these Franklies. And now I must because it's late Wednesday and I've just learned of some things and had some ideas. So this is going to come out Friday. And then I'm traveling again. I'll be in New York City for Climate Week next week. We'll see some of you there. I am also an exculpatory clause recording this under the influence of Xyzal, which is antihistamine because I have terrible ragweed allergies. There was a black swan that potentially happened in the last couple days with respect to the four horsemen of the 2020s, which I often talk about. And this is the Israeli use of pagers in the war against Hezbollah in the Middle East. I'm going to couch that in a broader overview of 7 things that are very important to our lives that are depleting or disappearing or in recede mode. And that's going to be the topic of today's brief, frankly, the first of many coming months. I have like a list of 37 more that I somehow need to find a time to record. Okay, so very quickly, viewers of this program know that I don't look at the future by extrapolating the current situation forward in time, because we can look 2 or 3 steps ahead and infer some of the challenges, some of the roadblocks, some of the dead ends that we face. So here are 7 things that are declining, maybe out of our sight, but they're declining nonetheless, and they're going to have big implications for our future. The first one, of course, is oil. When we drill an oil field, we get a lot of production out and then a big tail that lasts sometimes for decades. We've drilled, so many oil wells around the world. We've drilled more in the United States than the rest of the world combined. And these decline. If you average all the decline of all the oil wells drilled in the world, it runs at around 15% a year. This is in contrast. This is a new report out by ExxonMobil last week. So we have to drill faster and faster and have new technology, new fields, better extraction percentages in order to offset that 15% decline. Big story for coming generations. Number 2, which should really be number 1 for all of us, is the decline of the stability of the biosphere that we came used to in the Holocene. This is not just climate change. Climate is one of 6 planetary thresholds that we are exceeding, including biosphere integrity, novel entities like endocrine disruptors and plastics, land system change, freshwater change, and biogeochemical flows like the phosphorus and nitrogen cycles. The stability of what the planet experienced, what our ancestors experienced during the Pleistocene and the Holocene, is depleting. The third is the value of our money. At least in the United States, we're issuing $1 trillion worth of new debt every 3 months. Our budget deficit is higher this year than it was in COVID, which was like a recession/depression. So we keep printing more money to pay for things today. And so the value of our money is declining. Fourth is trust, the trust that we have in institutions, the trust we have in each other, the trust we have in the rules and the frameworks and the ways that we interact with other is in decline, especially in the media, which is one reason I started this channel. Fifth and related is civility, the kind of give and take tolerance of others. We don't start from an ambivalent state where we don't judge. Increasingly, we're not willing to give the benefit of the doubt to our fellow countrymen and women in conversations. And so the civil contract, the social contract, which itself is one of the four horsemen, is in decline. Sixth, and these are really in no particular order, I just like to do the number 7 sometimes, is the stability of our parasympathetic nervous system. We increasingly spend a lot of time in sympathetic mode, including even watching these Franklies, which I'm well aware of, and it bothers me a little bit, yet I still feel compelled from a reasonably good nervous system state today to share this information with you all. But as we head into these events where there's going to be international macroeconomic geopolitical whack-a-mole every day, our nervous systems become more and more activated. And as that happens, we're less able to think clearly, to respond from a place of equanimity. So our nervous systems are in depletion. Number 1, which is the reason for today's conversation, is the stability of global supply chains and globalization. One could argue that what happened a couple days ago when these pagers exploded with mostly Hezbollah operatives in Lebanon, but not all. There were doctors and other people, and I don't have all the up-to-date information on this. It's still unfolding. There's rumors it's happening with walkie-talkies and other devices. I think because of this, globalization itself has potentially become weaponized. COVID called our attention to the fragility of international just-in-time supply chains, but that was an external force. It was a virus. Now these pagers and beyond are something that happened due to malice, due to an internal decision. And so if you recall, a couple times on Franklies, I've talked about the evolutionary game theory matrix, the payoff grid, where there's cooperation. You and I do something together for the benefit of both of us. There's selfishness. I do something for me at a cost to you. There's altruism, where we both do something that helps the other person. And then there's spite, which is doing something at a cost to yourself, but a greater cost to your competitor. And spite is only a valid option when you have no other recourse. And I think Israel is indicating that they're so desperate that they would do this, to have these explosives inside of pagers and all of the downstream implications of that. This is going to change many things in the world, I fear. Everyone's focused right now on the casualties in Lebanon, and some children died and there's injuries. And what does this mean for the war between Israel and Hezbollah? And I'm not focused on that. That's been going on for 1,000 years, and it's horrible. And I could see arguments on both sides, and I don't even want to touch that. But I think this has a big implication for trust in global supply chains. Who is going to buy things, technology from an Israeli company in the global South? And who, extending that, who's going to buy from the United Kingdom and the United States supply chain company collaborations with Israel companies around the world? And beyond that, I had people in my social media feeds yesterday in New York City watching events on their phones with their kids, and like, do I want to even be on these devices when the possibility that they might explode or something? I think that's a little far-fetched. But is it? I mean, what are the repercussions as we crest the carbon pulse and spite becomes more and more of a viable choice for nations or individuals? Boy, this really, really talks to the great simplification, to resilience, to nearshoring, to making sure that you know the horizontals and verticals of your own supply chain. There's very few countries that do that, Russia being one. What does this portend for the trust in global supply chains? I think this is going to be a developing feeling that's going to unfold I might be wrong, but that was my initial reaction to seeing what's going on in Lebanon today. Lots more ahead. Please watch Roman Krasnarik's podcast next week. It's excellent on learning from past civilizations on what we can do in times of conflict creatively and in collaboration. Many more Franklies to come. I hope you're all well. Thanks.